So when a person says, I don't care, it means I don't have an investment in that area. I'm changing the language. When you come up to me weak and you say, my house burned to the ground, and says, I don't care. That means I'm not making any payments on it. I don't collect the insurance on it, and I don't have any relationship to it. So I don't care means I have no investment in it. So you've got to understand this. When a person says, I do care, you care about people? Yes. Good. There are people on the planet Euripides that are dying of starvation. Where's Euripides? 80 million light years straight up that way. So if you send $1.50, it'll diminish their starvation. Some people might do that. Now, if you say there are 80 quadrillion Euripides out in space, and we need a penny for each one, so give us many pennies as you can, and then you finally announce that there's zillions of Euripides out there, see? Then they don't give a shit. It becomes too big for them to comprehend. And that's why anything outside of Weehawken County, Virginia, is in another universe. And that's why the tight-knit family, whether it be the Jewish, Italian, or Greek family, the family as an institution is easy to perceive. When it comes to things like a community, the luxury of that kind of thought is difficult to perceive. Being concerned with other people means less in your house. It means less cake, less bread, less luxuries, no hi-fi in your car. So being selfish is reinforced. So if you keep asking me, why are people so selfish? Because when they're not selfish, and they flip the switch, the light doesn't go on. And when they put on their hi-fi and they listen to music, it doesn't sound as good because they didn't buy the needle that cost $12. They bought the needle that cost 3 cents. When they're selfish, their music sounds better. They get steak and potatoes. See, you got to understand, selfishness, I'm using that word, self-reinforcement to the extreme, is actual. And the luxury of giving things away doesn't pay off in terms of the individual. So instead of walking at it and saying, why are human beings so selfish? It's because it's reinforced. Anything you don't understand about that? You should be able to understand that. Now, children cannot afford the luxury of concern about other children. We could teach them that. We could teach children not to make any kind of noise at all if there's an adult around, without being frustrated. God, when they leave off, they will make noise. They could be conditioned to enjoy yielding. Can any of you think of an example where an organism is conditioned to enjoy yielding? See if you can recall any event where a person would yield to someone else. Nobody can?
Well, in the general area of what we call polite behavior.
Yeah. All right.
You yield and let the old lady go in and open the door for the old lady. Somewhere in the past it's been reinforced. Somebody patted you on the back, said you're a good guy or something.
Right. Now, if you reinforce any elements of behavior or reward it, you can get people to be excessively generous. And to the point where it almost appears ridiculous to you. I just want you to understand that any pattern of behavior, and no matter how ridiculous it may seem to you, I can get people to jump into volcanoes voluntarily and fight to be the first one to jump in. Does anybody know how that would be done?
Well, it depends how you're yielding to reinforcers.
You don't understand?
They go to heaven if they go.
All right, the kamikaze pilot. He dives his airplane into an aircraft carrier. In the beginning, the Germans, when they had a suicide group there, what they call them kamikaze pilots, the Japanese worked it out this way. They designed an airplane in the beginning. And they put the guy in, and he was to dive that plane into the aircraft carrier, whatever, because he had just enough fuel to get to that aircraft carrier, just a little more. And then when he took off his landing gear, he made it on the ground. You understand what I mean? In some cases, they were locked into the canopy. You know what that means? Huh? When you lock the guy in the canopy, and when he takes off, his landing gear is gone, he is about to turn around and come home. All right. Now, and also, he goes right to Happy Land. The Vikings, Valhalla. You know what that is? Heaven. If a Viking dies in battle, he goes to heaven. Otherwise, he'll never go to heaven. Isn't that interesting? So a Viking had to die in battle if he wanted to go to heaven. So you can condition people to jump into a volcano, dive their plane into things, run into a flamethrower if this is their area of reinforcement.